Freddie Roach. After a long and crazy offseason, people, we're going to have football this weekend. Week 0 of college football as Austin Peay will take on Central Arkansas along with other matchups. But as of today, you're locked and loaded onto the hottest show on the streets, the #1 forum for Crimson Tide football news, notes, and information. That being in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Friday, ending your work week off correctly. Excited to have each and every last one of you guys tuning in to the network, the channel, the show on today as we're bringing this to you from Tuscaloosa, streaming this through YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now if you haven't done so, give a thumbs up, give a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on so that way you can have the best news, notes, information, and coverage on your Crimson Tide. And we're not only streaming to you through YouTube, but for my Facebook people out there, Facebook world, coming to you guys as well. And speaking of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, you can purchase individual copies of the magazine, have those sent to your door. Link will be found in the description. As always, appreciating the man, the myth, the legend, John Ivory, the maestro in the production studio, giving us the ones and the twos and the beats and making this show what it is each and every time we do this. Quick little shout out there in the super chats as Roll Tide and Rise Up donating that early $10. Appreciating that coming from Roll Tide and Rise Up in the super chats. But we got a lot to get to, a lot to talk about, a lot to conversate on today. Alabama in week 2 of fall camp. Day number 7 to practice was today. The third day in full pads. Crimson Tide will have its first live action scrimmage on Saturday, that being tomorrow. So it'll be the first time where we get to see how many players can really step up, stand out, distance themselves from the rest of their teammates, and show Coach Saban and the staff how they can be instinctive, how they can play fast, they can play smart, they can play physical, they can play with discipline, and they don't have to overly rely on the coaching staff. So this weekend, that first live action scrimmage going to be fantastic. I'm excited right now because later on in the show, we're going to sit down with Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, and also my good friend Aaron Williams, who is a former strength and conditioning intern at the University of Alabama. He was under Scott Cochran from 2014 to 2015. So it's going to be cool catching back up with Justin Smith and also my good friend Aaron Williams. But as always, we want you being a part of the show. And you can be a part of the show by calling 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. We are encouraging you, giving you full permission to blow the phone lines up, below the YouTube chat line up. This is your show, your safe space, so fans do what we enjoy having you guys do, which is being a part here of the show. But we got a quick update here for you coming from the SEC, the Southeastern Conference, and the conference put up, they have added some new rules, some new guidelines, some additional guidelines for the games this season in terms of just continuing to promote public health and public safety during the time of the coronavirus. So among these rules here for the upcoming football season, number 1, only essential on-field personnel will be allowed on the sideline. Now, what does that mean? We have, the student athletes, the coaches, the support personnel, the medical personnel, law enforcement. Only those guys will have just, the full access of being on the sideline. Now, there will be a limited amount of the institutional personnel, a limited amount of photographers and contracted radio/TV personalities that will be allowed on the sideline as well. But those are just the essential people that the SEC, for all of its 14 schools, will have allowed there on the sideline. Along with that, only 500 tickets will be handed out or allowed to the families of the visiting team. So only 500 tickets will be allowed to the families of the visiting team. More could be added if there's a mutual agreement between the home team and the visiting team. No bands will be permitted to perform on the field for pregame and halftime. The bands will be restricted from being on the field for pregame and halftime, so more than likely they'll be able to perform there in the stands. And then in terms of disinfecting things for the home area and the away area, the home and the visitor spaces inside each venue must be disinfected before each game. And then last but not least, there will be a 50% capacity in terms of the media press box. So for the media, 50% capacity for media press box, and the post-game pressers for each coach will be conducted virtually. So we're living in a completely different time here when you talk college football and the SEC, but sometimes you got to give up some things in order to have football in full swing here. But we get into topic number one here of the conversation, and everybody's been talking quarterbacks in terms of Alabama, and the quarterback position is key. The quarterback position is a big deal. We will continue to hear the quarterback conversation between Mac Jones and Bryce Young throughout this fall camp as we get into the 2020 college football season. But right now, we're going to look at Freddie Roach and this Alabama defensive line. Crimson Tide defensive line coach Freddie Roach and his group, because this week, LeBron Ray had a press conference. LeBron Ray, well, not a press conference, he was involved in player interviews. And LeBron Ray, at 6'5", 295 pounds, the former five-star in the 2017 signing class by the way of James Clemens High School in Madison, Alabama. LeBron Ray he missed 10 games last year. He only played in 3 games due to a foot injury he suffered against South Carolina, but he's back 100% healthy. Fully healthy, and has looked good throughout fall camp so far. Has looked great thus far, exploding through his hips, working through drills, exploding off the line of scrimmage, really playing well, really having a strong camp is one LeBron Ray. And during his interview, he talked about how, the intensity, the work ethic, everything that Coach Saban mentioned this week about getting back to those core values of Alabama football defensively. Well, it all starts with the defensive line. LeBron Ray said it starts with us. It starts with this front group, and we want to be nasty. We want to be mean. We want to be physical. We want to have the effort. We want to have the pride in our performance. We want to pressure the pocket. We want to sack the quarterback. We want to get back to doing those things that made Alabama defenses in the past, primarily the defensive lines, really special in Tuscaloosa. So LeBron Ray mentioned that. He talked about Justin Boydby and Byron Young, 2 true freshmen that were forced into action last year because of injuries, but both guys made strides and continue to make strides as they're both now sophomores. And when Christian Barmore was brought up to LeBron Ray, the young man just smiled. He was like, B Moore, that's my guy. That's my dog. That's my dude. A lot of the pass rush is going to be on Christian Barmore. But one of the things that LeBron Ray mentioned, this is going to be more so of a pass rush by committee. Everybody's going to have to pitch in. Everybody's going to have to do their job, take their role seriously, come in, come to work, be the best version of themselves, each person. We look at the defensive line, and when Freddie Roach was mentioned, and LeBron Ray talked about it, Coach Roach, great guy, great man, great coach, great energy, great enthusiasm. He stays on us. He demands the most out of us. He ain't taking no bull jive. He ain't on no mess. He wants us to be on our P's and Q's. He wants us to be explosive, coming off the ball, shedding off offensive linemen, attacking the ball carrier, attacking the quarterback, creating havoc in the opposing team's backfield. Having Coach Roach in here, LeBron Ray mentioned, it's been a great experience for everybody in the room. I remember Coach Saban talked about on Monday, having Roach back in here. He's an Alabama guy. He takes pride in his work. He takes pride in his performance. His personality meshes really well with the chemistry of the defensive coaching staff here for the Crimson Tide. And what's interesting is, Freddie Roach, we all know he's from the state of Alabama. He played here, was a decorative linebacker here from 2001 to 05. He had 2 different coaching stints here, was a part of 2 national championship teams in 2009. Well, 3 national championship teams, 2009, 2015, and 2017 as an assistant to the strength staff, and also a director of player development. But when Roach was away from the university, he had a lot of success. When he was at East Mississippi Community College in 2011, he took that team and won a national junior college championship with that group. Had a lot of success at Murray State in 2012. 2013 and 2014, Roach did his thing with the defensive ends and outside linebackers at South Alabama. And then at Ole Miss, 2018 and 2019, despite the fact that he wasn't working with a lot of 4- and 5-star guys, he took what was provided to him and really, really produced with that. So the question is, with Roach back at Alabama and with the words LeBron Ray had to say, how many sacks can this defensive front, can this defensive line truly generate here in the upcoming season? Like LeBron Ray mentioned, it's on us. It starts with us. The nastiness, the dominance, the physicality, the make his butt quit, to make everybody fear you. It starts with the defensive line. It starts with that massive wall. So with Coach Roach back in here, how many sacks can this front group generate? And the reason why I brought this up is you look at the defensive lines from 2015 to 2017, those 3 years combined here, we're looking at 146 sacks those 3 years combined. 59 and a half of those 146 sacks came from the defensive line. Classified traditional defensive ends and defensive tackles. I'm not talking about, outside linebackers that have to walk down as an extra lineman, or inside linebackers, or blitzing corners, or blitzing safeties. We're talking traditional defensive ends, defensive tackles. 59 and a half of the 146 sacks from 2015 to 2017 came from the defensive line. That's 40.7%, over 1/3, near half. And what's crazy is the media likes to pull out the Jonathan Allens, the Tim Williams, the Ryan Andersons of the world as the major beneficiaries of those groups, and all those guys did well. But when you look at it, Dalvin Tomlinson was getting sacks. Daron Payne was getting sacks. Guys like Deshaun Hand, guys like Rashaan Evans getting sacks. Guys like Christian Miller getting sacks. Reuben Foster, Reggie Ragland as well. And it was like, it didn't matter who was getting the sacks. As long as that quarterback was on his butt and you were creating that type of pressure, everybody was dancing around. It was like, hey, big boy got a sack. Let's go. Run it up. It was like, it didn't matter who was getting the sack. If a sack was happening on the field, that type of contagious energy was going around everywhere. So the question will be, this year's group, with Freddie Roach back in here, how many sacks can this defensive line, how many sacks can this front group generate in reestablishing that presence of this defensive line being the nastiest group in college football? But folks, we take our first break here on In My Own Words to start this Friday, but just getting started, because when we get back, we dive into your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your questions, your concerns. How many sacks can you see this Alabama defensive line getting with Freddie Roach at the helm? We'll touch it up after this.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care, in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99, and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We're back in here, folks, on a Friday. Hottest show on the streets here, number one form for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciating you guys tuning in to the show on today. And it's your time, Tide Nation. 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. 205-448-1358. But we got some super chats here to shout out. First off, my man Kevin Compton dropping in that cool $9.99. Appreciate that, Kevin Compton. And Willie351 throwing in that $7.77. He also writes in, this is for my grandma and for all of those that love me. For my grandma and all of those that love me, Willie351. So we appreciate Willie351 and Kevin Compton there showing the love. But also Marcus Davis here dropping in that $14.99. So Marcus Davis not to be outdone, helping us out there in the super chats. But before we take our first call here, gotta give our words of condolences and safety out there to the citizens, the people in the state of Louisiana. I know a Hurricane Laura out there, on the coast, right now. So really giving our thoughts of strength, prayers of safety to everybody in Louisiana, Texas, and surrounding areas during this time here as Hurricane, once again, Laura, in that area right there. But we take our first call of the night, going to my man Waylon. Waylon, it's Friday, man. How you feeling?
Well, it's TDN, it's Friday, and I feel good. All this money coming in, it's my rubber hose. I told you on the phone. Anyway, Stephen, tell me what's going on.
Doing good, man. Doing good, Waylon. Can't complain here. The Tide in day 7 of camp, day 3 of full pads. Tomorrow, though, is going to be a big day. It's the first live action scrimmage, and though the media can't be there to cover that, I will do my best to get all the information from that live action scrimmage, as this is a time where Coach Saban, he wants to see how many players can play smart, how many guys can play physical, how many guys will be disciplined, be instinctive, make plays, and the biggest one, not be so overly reliant on the coaching staff in terms of when the play is called out, you know where you need to be at on the field. So tomorrow, the first live action scrimmage, it will open up some things of who really can be on this field as starters for the Tide.
Well, we know that Coach Saban is a lot like Coach Bryant. That's why Coach Bryant always stood up there in that tower. Of course, they still have the tower out there, but I don't think it's the original tower Coach Bryant was in. But he demanded perfection, and that's why he got the championship teams he got by, as Joe Namath said, and Kenny Stabler and Bob Baumhauer. You can watch the old clippings of the guys sitting around. Cornelius Bennett, Van Tiffin.
Man, Cornelius is great.
Yeah, they was all sitting there talking. Coach Moore when he was alive. They all, as Kenny Stabler said, we all cussed him, but we turned around and told him we loved him at the same time. So that's how he demanded perfection, Coach Bryant did, and they always respected him like the players do, Coach Saban the same way. And they may cuss him under their breath, but they still love him. But anyway, we got to smoke on out of here. There's a lot of stuff been going on here, hurricanes and more this mess on TV. I just want to cut it off. But we got to do better than what we're doing, because we don't. We're not going. It's not. It don't look good. We don't. We're making a fool out of ourselves in this country, and we're a better country than this. We know better. We're grown people, and I don't feel like we need to go back to the 60s. This is 2020. I feel like we're in the modern age. Everything we have is handed to us, all this technology at our fingertip. We want to act like we're crazy back when we didn't have anything. But I don't know. Maybe sometimes these shows are a platform to voice your opinion. Like LeBron James said, sometimes you just have a certain point in life or a certain time you have to say something and you have to say it for it to be heard. And we don't want to make nothing political. But anyway, all the people in Louisiana, all the people in the chat, I appreciate all the love. They wanted to hear the old poem that I wrote about you. I tuned it back up a little bit, so I'm going to get out of here. Everybody have a great weekend. I'll see you again on Monday, the Lord's willing. And keep your prayers going here for this country and all these hurricanes and these civil arrests and all this stuff. I tell you, it's just a mess. But Stephen M. Smith, he will not boast. He's our TDA host. John runs the cameras. Justin knows all the recruits. He's our boots on the ground. He gets all the news around T-Town. All you have to do when it's time for a break is just hold on and eat a piece of Aunt Emily's pound cake. Wave that title towel in there. Hit the like button and subscribe. Don't be afraid to share. So get in the queue. Voice your news. Voice your views. Stephen M. may put you on the big-time TDA news. All right, everyone. Been great talking to you again there. I'll see everybody on Monday. Bye-bye, Stephen.
Appreciate that, Waylon. Another good one, another Hall of Fame one coming from my man Waylon every time he calls into the show. We continue with the phone lines here. You're live on In My Own Words. It's Friday. What's going on?
Hey, Steven, how are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Tomorrow's going to be the first live action scrimmage, so looking forward to getting the information from Coach Saban and the gang.
Yeah, I heard you talking about it earlier, and I'm kind of curious myself what your thoughts are on how the quarterback's going to look in the scrimmage, and also like how do you think our defense will look this year? And I'm just kind of curious on that because I just really want to hear how the quarterback situation is, and I'm tired of people thinking that it's going to be one guy and not the other guy or whatever. So I might get your thoughts on that, and I'm gonna hang up and listen. You have a great weekend. Roll Tide.
Appreciate the call there. I mean, and I've mentioned this before. It's you got to be able to appreciate the entire quarterback room. Now, Coach Saban, Mac Jones will get the first shot out there with the ones. He'll work Bryce Young in there, and of course, Paul Tyson will more than likely get more of his opportunities with the 2s and 3s. But they'll divvy up the reps how they see fit out there. And I guess the big thing from Coach Saban would be, which quarterback can consistently drive the ball downfield, right? Drive the ball downfield, not make a lot of mistakes, get good throws to the wide receivers, read the keys, and just really, truly run and navigate this offense. I mean, I know people are excited to see what Bryce Young can do, and rightfully so. He's a big-time prospect. But at the same time, I look at a Mac Jones. He's going into his 4th year here. He understands the system. I mean, Alex Leatherwood spoke on this young man the other day talking about Mac Jones works his butt off, works his tail off. He's always been a workhorse, a guy that is the biggest leader of this team, and it's going to be fun. So my eyes will be on the quarterbacks. Whoever can maneuver this offense and run this offense to where it's making big plays, but it's also protecting the football, that'll be the key right there at the quarterback position. Defensively, I'm looking forward to seeing, guys like Dylan Moses. How fast can Dylan Moses get these guys in the right spots? And we're looking to see the inside and outside linebackers flying around the field, how the secondary plays. Most importantly, how much pressure can that defensive line get to that pocket? So going to be fun to get the information from that first scrimmage. But as you guys are continuing to get your thoughts in, 205-448-1358, the number to call into the show, 205-448-1358. Tua Tagovailoa, former Alabama quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, national champion in 2017, SEC champion 2018, along with a bunch of other awards he got when he was at the program. Tua has been dominating the second week of training camp for the Miami Dolphins. Week 1 was kind of the highs and lows, up and down there, trying to understand the defense he was going up against. But this week, according to Joe Shad, who covers the team for the Palm Beach Post, and Cameron Wolf, who covers the team for The Athletic, both guys mentioned Tua is starting to look like the guy this week in week 2. He is starting to look like the player that he was at Alabama. Swagger is there, accuracy is there, precision is there, throws are on time. Just looks really, really good week 2 in training camp for the Miami Dolphins. So it's only a matter of time before it becomes Tua time in Miami. I know Ryan Fitzpatrick wants to play. I know he wants to play. And he's a veteran guy. He's going into his 16th year in the league, if I'm not mistaken. But even Ryan Fitzpatrick said, hey, I'm simply a placeholder for Tua Tagovailoa. Once they get the key to Tua, the key is in Tua's hand. So he's right now doing well, week 2 of training camp for the Dolphins. But before we take our next break here, gotta shout out the man Jay Lee, dropping in that $20 there into the super chats, helping us out here at TDA. Upon our return, we will sit down with 2 esteemed guests. My good man Aaron Williams, former strength and conditioning intern for the University of Alabama 2014 and 2015, and the lead scouting and recruiting analyst Justin Smith for TDA. Don't touch that dial. We'll be back after this. But before that, Daryl Ellis, appreciate that Daryl Ellis dropping in that $4.99 via Super Chats. We'll be right back.
If you want delicious home-style cooking, sushi, and hibachi, check out Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. At home and you can't get away from the TV because the Crimson Tide is about to score? Don't worry, delivery is also available through Waitr and Crimson2go. That's Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And make sure you let them know the good folks at Touchdown Alabama sent you. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We're back in here, folks, on a Friday, #1 forum for Crimson Tide football news, notes, and commentary in my own words with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Be sure to drop a thumbs up, give a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, and turn all of those notifications on so that way you can have the best in news, notes, and information on your Crimson Tide. But we go to the In My Own Words hotline right now. We pick up one of my good friends, best friends right here. We were at the University of Alabama together. We stayed at the same apartment complex for a couple of years. This guy right here is the former Alabama strength and conditioning intern. He was with Scott Cochran from 2014 to 2015. Aaron Williams, A-Train. Aaron, what's going on, man?
How we doing tonight, old friend? Good to be on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We got Aaron Williams, the former strength and conditioning intern at the University of Alabama, 2014 to 2015, here live on the show now. Aaron, as long as I've known you, I've never gotten the full background story as to how you were able to land that job and being under Scott Cochran, working there as an intern for the program. So just for me and our listeners here, how did you end up with that job?
Long story short, I'll take it back a little bit. So remember the kick six, Auburn, Alabama?
Don't remind me of that, bro.
All right. So it all started in that moment. I was watching. I'm from Wisconsin, so I was watching on TV. I got my undergrad degree at the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh, played football Division III up there. Anyway, saw that game, and I was like, man, I want to get my master's degree in sports business management. And I've always been a big Alabama fan, and that moment right there, I was like, I bet you Alabama's going to win the national championship next year. I predicted wrong. They won the year after that while I was still there against Ohio State and then beat Clemson. But anyways, so I didn't know a soul in Tuscaloosa. Showed up, had a scheduled appointment. The guy was sick, didn't get a chance. So I said, I got nothing to lose. So I started cleaning the weight room. I cleaned the entire weight room for about 8 hours. Scott Cochran was probably the first person to come up to me within the first 10 minutes, kind of saying, who are you and all that. I just said, hey, I'm meeting with one of the other strength coaches that potentially intern. He said, all right, gave me a big smirk. And then 8 hours later, I was sweeping next to the dumbbells, seeing Peyton Manning, I mean, you know, it was a crazy experience. And all of a sudden they said, how soon could you start? And there I was 2 years later, intern really close with Scott Cochran and the rest of the crew there. Best experience of my life.
So in terms of just what goes into strengthening and conditioning players, strengthening and conditioning athletes on the field, you were right there, like you mentioned, you were right there with Cochran among other guys. So with what you did and the players you worked with, because you were around Derrick Henry, you were around Tim Williams and Ryan Anderson, A'Shawn Robinson, a lot of those big name guys, both offensively and defensively. So what goes into strengthening, conditioning players and just getting them in that right mindset for game week?
Man, there's so much that goes into it, Steven. I mean, just the around-the-clock 365, you know, I mean, Coach Saban runs a heck of a program, but having Scott Cochran there for 10 years plus, you know, he does an amazing job orchestrating all the ins and the outs. So when I was there, I primarily worked with the offense and D-line, so like A'Shawn Robinson, Jaron Reed, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne. I mean, you just knew they were special. And just being around it was incredible. But the sets, the reps, the amount of volume that they do in a workout is just incredible.
Now, when you look at just the group that's in here now, Aaron, just the group that's in here now with David Ballou and Dr. Matt Ray, they're more of a scientific group, not what Cochran brought in. But if you could just speak to how, what in your mind could be the biggest difference between what you saw in Cochran versus the new stage here with Ballou and Ray?
Well, I can speak on behalf of Cochran. I mean, he had the most energy, as you know, just unbelievable to be around, motivating, inspiring. You know, his work ethic was second to none. So I can't really speak to who the new staff is. I've never personally worked with them, but I know Coach Saban hired them. So Alabama football is in good hands.
If you're just tuning into the show, folks, we got Aaron Williams on the line here, former Alabama strength and conditioning intern at the program from 2014 to 2015, joining us live here on In My Own Words. So, Aaron, big players you're looking forward to seeing this year. Who are some of the guys on this team, it could be offense or defense, that you're looking forward to watch and go, I want to see this guy put up big numbers?
I'm always, as a former quarterback, I got to go with the quarterbacks of Alabama. I mean, they're always exciting to watch. You know, Saban always has a good plan for who's going to be the starter. But, you know, me, I'm a little biased too with the O&D line. I work really closely with them, so I know that Alabama's always going to have that support around them because the D-line, like you were saying before, you're getting me pretty jacked up when you're talking defensive linemen and sacks this year.
I want to see Freddie Roach do this thing here, you know, with this defensive line where you can get the sack numbers up and the quarterback sacks up, the stuff in the running back numbers up, all of those things up, because it starts with that defensive line. So Aaron, at quarterback, are you going full on Mac Jones here?
I would have to say, yeah, Mac Jones, he's got some talent. He's really skilled. You know, I'd like to see him ball out this year, you know.
Definitely want to see Mac Jones ball out this year. You got Bryce Young. You also have Paul Tyson on the roster as well. Want to see all three of those young men have big success in the upcoming season. But this is we got Aaron Williams here, the former strength and conditioning intern for the Crimson Tide. Was here from 2014 to 2015. Was a part of two SEC championships. That national championship came in the 2015 season. He also spent a great deal of time with one Derrick Henry in 2015 in his Heisman Trophy campaign. Also Amari Cooper 2014 winning that Fred Biletnikoff Award. But Aaron, man, we appreciate you coming on here, getting the chance to catch back up with you, reunite with my good buddy, my good friend. Take it easy, man. Be good out there. Stay safe.
I appreciate it. Roll Tide, Steven. Great talking with you.
Absolutely awesome. Get a chance to catch back up there with my man, Aaron Williams, their former intern on the strength and conditioning staff for the Tide. But we stay on the phone lines because now we go to the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, that being one Justin Smith. Justin, what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Feeling good, Steven. It's always good to come out and catch some high school football on Friday.
You're out there catching high school football, seeing the man Ian Jackson out of Prattville, who's taking on Stanhope Elmore tonight. Justin Smith at that game between Prattville and Stanhope Elmore. But speaking of big high school stuff here, Tim Keenan, the four-star defensive tackle, four-star defensive lineman out of Birmingham, is going to be making his commitment on tomorrow, on Saturday. You have spent a great deal of time around Keenan, around his family, around the situation. Justin, what's the latest right now? What are you looking forward to having? What's Keenan's move right now?
I think the Tide is right there in a great position. You could say that they are the favorite heading into the season on tomorrow. Of course, looking at his top five, it's not a team in there that has recruited Keenan longer and harder than Alabama. Just looking at his top five and which teams are in there. So I think the Tide is in a great position with them. I think this will be a great pickup for the Tide here. You're getting a great defensive tackle out of Birmingham, which the Tide has had a lot of success with over the last couple of years. So I think the Tide is in a great position heading into his decision on tomorrow. Of course, I caught up with him in Ramsey this week. He said his decision is already made. He said he made his decision and it depended on how far the school was from him. Also, another factor he weighed was him coming in and making an impact. So I think the Tide is definitely a team to pay attention to with his recruitment and his commitment coming up on Saturday.
Now, along with Tim Keenan, who took his commitment process, took a slow commitment process, another guy that did the exact same thing, Justin, was four-star defensive back Terrion Arnold out of Tallahassee, Florida, taking that commitment slowly. Now, when I spoke to you prior to coming on the show, you mentioned he dropped a top 11 school list. So not the traditional top 5, top 10. He drops a top 11. Speak to us about Terrion Arnold and what's going through his mental process right now.
Well, when I got a chance to travel to Tallahassee, Florida, and spend some time with Terrion Arnold and his family, it was clear that their entire family and him as well want to take his recruitment as slowly as possible. That's why you see them releasing a top 11 at this point in his recruitment. I think that paints a picture of how slow they want to take it. You see a lot of guys in the 2021 recruiting class who have already committed. If they do drop a top school list, it's usually top 3 or top 5 around this time, especially with COVID-19 and the impact it has had on college football recruiting. So I think it just paints a picture of how slowly he is taking the recruitment process. I still think the Tide is one of the favorites when it comes to his recruitment, but they are going to have to continue to battle it out with the teams that are included in his top 11.
If you're just tuning into the show, ladies and gentlemen, we got the lead scouting and recruiting analyst Justin Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on the phone line here, talking 2021 recruiting for the Tide. And right now, you've been spending some time, Justin, with Ian Jackson, being around him, being around his family, the Prattville, high school football program. So what do you have down the pavement here or down the pipeline when it comes to Ian Jackson?
We have a special video presentation coming with the Prattville product, but I've been very impressed with the amount of weight that he has put on. He looks totally different from his junior season. He looks as if he's packed on some weight to his frame. He's looking a lot thicker. And this is a kid who's very versatile. Him adding on weight right now is going to be crucial for him coming in and enrolling to the University of Alabama in the future. You're looking at one of the more versatile kids in the 2021 recruiting class. There's not too many kids in this 2021 class who can play at all 3 levels on the defensive side of the football. So I think he is in a great position. I think he's going to have a great senior season. That added on weight, added on to his versatility. I think he's going to be a monster during his senior season for Prattville. I think he's going to be prepped and ready to possibly make an immediate impact once he enrolls into Alabama in the future.
He's Justin Smith, ladies and gentlemen, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, coming on here to talk 2021 recruiting for the Crimson Tide as he's out there on a Friday getting the Prattville versus Stanhope Elmore High School game action in. But Justin, be safe out there. Appreciate you coming on as always, giving us the nuggets, the insight, the lowdown, and recruiting. Have fun out there, get some good coverage, get some good footage, but be safe, man.
Thank you so much, Steven.
Always a joy having Justin come on here, giving us the news and notes there on the recruiting front. But we take another break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. When we get back, we dive back into your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your text messages. How are you feeling right now when you look at Alabama football as it returns in 28 days? We'll go back to the phone lines after this.
T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
All right, people, we are back in from the break here on the number one forum, hottest show on the streets here for Crimson Tide football information. In my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. As always, appreciating the man, John Ivory, in the production studio doing his thing, and appreciating you guys as Tide Nation, the Alabama football fans, tuning in on today on the show network and the channel here. Be sure to always give a thumbs up, give a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on so that way you can have the best insight on your Crimson Tide. But it's back on you, Tide fans. 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you guys, blowing the phone line up, blowing the chat line up, giving off your thoughts, your zeal, your energy, your passion, your feel for the Crimson Tide. But we go to the phone lines right now where we take a call. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
What's going on, Steven? How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Doing fantastic. Tomorrow is the first live action scrimmage here for the Crimson Tide. And also tomorrow we get our first piece of football, week 0 of college football. I know it's Austin Peay versus Central Arkansas, but hey, it's still some college football happening in week 0.
No doubt, man. Definitely looking forward to it. For you is I saw today where the Big Ten is possibly going to try to move, to actually start around Thanksgiving. Do you think that's going to impact, how, any of the other schools' schedule, or do you think that, there's going to be any kind of changes, like with, Alabama, SEC, saying differently?
I don't think there'll be a change with the Alabama SEC. Now, you could see some shifting around, but it's going to be interesting to see how the Big Ten pulls this out, because Commissioner Kevin Warren made the announcement today that, at first they canceled the full season straight up, and now with looking at the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 moving on with football, and they're seeing how things in those 3 conferences are going quite smoothly at this point. And of course, Warren's thinking about, we've got guys in our conference that can play big football. We've got guys in our conference that are looking at, creating value for themselves, using a Coach Saban term when you discuss the NFL draft for 2021. So it'll be intriguing to locate or to find out how the Big Ten will pull this all together and start this on Thanksgiving. That's the day they're looking to start around Thanksgiving. So I don't see any SEC teams getting pulled in or being affected by this, but there could be some switching and swatching around between Big Ten and Big 12 schools or Big 10 and ACC schools. Not quite sure right now. My thing is, will Kevin Warren be able to actually pull this off, or will doing it around the time of Thanksgiving, would that be too much of a stretch?
Yeah. I don't, man. They don't know what they're doing, it seems like, right now.
I mean, it's crazy because, at first they're thinking, okay, let's cancel the season for the fall, let's move it to the spring, do it like that. But if you push it to the spring, you open a huge can of worms because you're risking guys opting out because you're making them choose between, do I want to play the sport that I love, which is college football, or do I want to opt out and pursue the NFL draft? And then you have to wonder, does the NFL push the draft back? Do you have a Senior Bowl, or East-West Shrine game, an NFL Combine, to where everybody gets their evaluations in? And then you have other collegiate sports during the spring that have those TV contracts. So if you push it to the spring, that's not going to work. But if you push it to Thanksgiving, that's kind of a weird, awkward stretch as well. So the Big Ten and the Pac-12 really sort of jumped the gun a bit too early, and I understand you have to be about public safety and public health, but you got to give credit, first and foremost to Commissioner Sankey of the SEC having that foresight to, let's push the season back and see how everybody else handles it before we make our move.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. Like they definitely jumped the gun because, if we have if they would have stayed with that spring schedule, which they still may, nobody's going to play. I don't see many people playing at all, especially your star players. And then even the ones that want to get time for next year, how are you going to do that and then jump right back into a season a few months later? I think everybody's going to be, have all that wear and tear from playing a schedule, and then you got a fall season still, I'm assuming. So that would be crazy. But man, I love the show. I got one more question for you.
Go ahead.
You can answer it. I know you always talk about kind of like, the strips of the team this year coming back. What do you see as the big weakness? Like what concerns you the most about this team this year, and what could be, if there is a downfall, what do you think could cause us to slip?
Okay, so the biggest weakness here of the team, everybody would go kicker here, and though I would go there, I'm not going to go kicker here because I think Will Riker's going to be much so improved. So weakness for me, I would just look at the secondary. I look at the secondary in terms of how fast can that group really gel, because the only guy with starting experience, big starting experience, is Patrick Surtain II. Like, Jordan Battles played a lot. Daniel Wright's played a lot, but Surtain has started in 28 games, and you can't put a price on that type of experience. So how fast can this group in the back end gel quick and be about the business? That would be kind of the small weakness there that I've got right there for the Tide. But, man, we appreciate the call. Keep listening to us.
Definitely.
Absolutely. The secondary is kind of my biggest deal there. We continue with the phone line right now. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Man, what's going on, Stephen? The young Sway from down the bay.
Oh, man. Sway done called in here. Sway, what's going on?
Man, I'm just chilling, but I almost hung up on y'all, man. I was on hold about a good 6-7 minutes, man. Y'all let bro just take all the phone time, didn't it?
I mean, he's sitting here talking about what the Big Ten gonna do and what could be the biggest weakness on defense, but we focus on right now, Sway. You in the phone line right now. So what is on your chest right now?
I feel you. I just want to know how what my boy from Mobile, Jalen, little bro. I want to know how he gonna do this year. You know what I'm saying? I want to see what my people from the hometown finna do. If you got any information on that.
So Armour Davis.
Yeah.
I like Armour Davis, man. Armour Davis is in a 3-man fight, at the nickel position at star. It's Armour Davis, Brian Branch, and Ronald Williams Jr., the JUCO transfer. So Armour Davis is right now in a fight to be at that star role, but right now he's going to be one of the first guys off the bench at corner. I love his size. I mean, he's 6'1", 195, near 200 pounds, 6'1", 6'2". Saban loved his size and his athleticism when he first came in. I just think when he got hurt as a freshman, that took a little bit from him. He's now back. He's playing fast. He's playing physical. He's doing well on the field. I mean, he's changed his jersey number from 22 to 5, so it's kind of hard at times to recognize him a little bit, but he's out there. He's in a race to get that star position, trying to beat out Brian Branch and Ronald Williams. But Armour Davis, I like the dude. I like the kid.
Yeah, that's how we do it down in Mobile, you know what I'm saying? I got another one coming for y'all next year with my little brother Deontay, but I appreciate you taking my call, man. I got some other stuff to do. Y'all have me on hold too long, so I'm going to let anybody else get. I ain't going to do it how y'all did the other dude, but it's all good, though. I'm going to holler at you, though, Steve.
Appreciate that, Sway. Appreciate it. Well, y'all Sway from across the bay there showing us some love here on the show here. Appreciate, and also Gucci Ty dropping in that $5 via the Super Chats, helping us out here at TDA. Gucci Ty here throwing that out there, that $5 via the Super Chats. But on Monday of next week, Alabama football student athletes will be marching to raise awareness on racial injustice. Now, John Mechie Jr., the wide receiver, posted this status to his Instagram on today. Well, John Mechie III posted this status to his Instagram today. University of Alabama will be marching on Monday of next week, raising awareness on racial injustice. Alabama will be one of 3 SEC teams doing this peaceful march, along with LSU and the Ole Miss Rebels. So appreciating the stand, the passion, the mindset that these young athletes have, fighting for what they believe in, standing for something that's right, standing for something that's of a strong cause. So Alabama student athletes on next Monday, seeing as, on the schedule, they don't have practice on Monday of next week, so they're using Monday of next week to march and raise an awareness on racial injustice. But that comes from the Instagram post there from one John Mechie at wide receiver. We take another break here on the show. Don't touch the dial, because when we get back, we talk on the offensive line of Alabama. There's a certain guy that has moved to right tackle, and Alabama already has 4 of its 5 spots locked down on the line. What's the one area Alabama's missing? We'll touch it up on the other side of the break. You're listening to In My Own Words.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to STSfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to STSfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month, or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
Back into the action here, folks, from the break here. Hottest show on the streets, #1 forum for Crimson Tide football news on a Friday. Appreciating every last one of you guys for tuning in to the show here with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But before we do anything else here, gotta remind you of TDAwear.com. TDAwear.com. If you are a passionate Alabama football fan, you love the Crimson Tide, you crave Alabama football, you eat, sleep, breathe it, and you are for these players, supporting these players, We want you to do this right now. You go to tdawear.com and you can purchase the We Want Football shirts and the Let Them Play shirts. The We Want Football shirts and the Let Them Play shirts. Getting both of these from tdawear.com. Now there's other apparel also, but go to tdawear.com. Cop you one of them We Want Football shirts or the Let Them Play shirts, along with getting other apparel, showing your support for Crimson Tide football, the Alabama football student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Checking that out there at tdawear.com. But we get into the offensive line here for the Crimson Tide, and the big news is Alex Leatherwood, the left tackle, confirmed something this week. And so what Leatherwood confirmed was one Evan Neal, the 6'7", 360-pound monster from the state of Florida, came out of IMG Academy. He is moving from left guard to right tackle. So now Nick Saban, for the first time in his tenure as the coach of the Crimson Tide, he will have two 6'6" and taller offensive tackles, two huge bookend tackles, and Alex Leatherwood on the left side, Evan Neal on the right side. Evan Neal kind of taking the Alex Leatherwood story, if you will, when Leatherwood came in the 2017 class out of Pensacola, Florida, at 6'6", 312 pounds. Leatherwood came in 2017. He backed up Jonah Williams in the national championship game against Georgia. He came off the bench to replace an injured Jonah Williams, and then 2018 he slid inside to play the offensive guard position, and then this past year he moved back to his rightful spot as an offensive tackle. When it comes down to Evan Neal, he comes to Alabama in 2019. He starts at offensive guard, at left guard. Alex Leatherwood gave him some tips and helped the young man transition to being an interior lineman, playing on the inside, kind of a phone booth there. And so now he's making the move from guard to offensive tackle on the right side of the line. So pretty awesome right there. Crimson Tide already has 4 of its 5 spots hammered in and confirmed on the line. So Alex Leatherwood will be the left tackle. Left guard will be Deontay Cornbread Brown. Right guard will be Landon Dickerson, seeing how he put on 17 pounds in the offseason, going from 308 to 325 pounds, and Evan Neal at right tackle. So now the question is, who will be the nucleus of the group? Who will be at center controls? Who will play center? Who will be the starting center for Alabama's offensive line? Well, the beauty of having the depth that Coach Saban and Kyle Flood as the offensive line coach have is you got a lot of players you can pick and choose from. Alabama's got a 3-man race here at the center position. 3-man race for starting center. You got Chris Owens, the redshirt senior. You've got Emil Ekiyor Jr., and you've got the true sophomore Darian Dalcourt out of Maryland. 3-man race here at the center spot. And while Chris Owens, he's got experience, good player. Emil Ekiyor has got a lot of versatility, can play both guard and center. Give me Darian Dalcourt. Dalcourt is where my money is on right now. And the reason why Dalcourt, to me, is the guy that needs to start at center is he doesn't force it. It's so smooth. It is natural. It is very, very effortless with him. And Dalcourt at 6'3", 300 pounds, 4-star, played in 7 games last season. So he's not wet behind the ears. He's not green in any area. He played in 69 snaps a season ago as a backup center. In the 2 longest touchdown runs by a back in 2019, Darian Dalcourt got the 2 key combo big blocks there. Took on his man first and then peeled off, worked his way to the second level, bang, got the linebacker out of the picture, springing the running back down the field for both of those touchdowns. And when I've been able to talk to different people within the program about Dalcourt, they have spoken to me about how smooth he is, how naturally gifted he is, how consistent he is, how great his feet are, how great his hands are. He is a full packaged center. full, complete package, God-gifted center. I mean, Chris Owens has got experience. Good player. Emil Ekiyor Jr., once again, diversity, versatility, can play both guard and center, can play both roles. But if you're talking about a true God-gifted natural center to where it's easy, it's effortless, it's not a strain, he's not fortunate, he moves quick, gotta go with Darian Dalcourt here. I remember Cole Kublik, former Auburn offensive lineman who was with, SEC Network, part of the ESPN family there. I remember Cole Kublik had Dalcourt as one of his top 5 offensive breakout players in the SEC for this upcoming season, and it's not crazy for him to have him on there, just seeing how the young man has a lot of talent, has a lot of ability, has a lot of versatility, but just a naturally gifted center there at the point of attack. And this is what you need, right? This is exactly what you need, because Coach Saban convinced Najee Harris, hey, if you come back as the starting running back for this team, we're going to give you every single opportunity to get your carries up, to get your yards up, to get your touchdowns up, to get your production up, for you to hit on every single goal that you have for this campaign. And those goals for Najee Harris: win the Heisman Trophy, be an All-American, be a first-team All-SEC, advance on the all-time, school rushing list, among other things, be a first-round pick. And in order for that to happen, you got to have the best 5 guys on the field on your offensive line. You have to have the best left tackle on the field, the best left guard, the best right tackle, and you got to darn sure have the best center on the field. And at that position, when you got a guy like a Darian Dalcourt who can move clean, who can move quick, who can take on a defensive lineman, get him out of the way, get to the linebacker, get him out of the way, and get that running back up and down the field, but also along with that, protect the quarterback, it's a very, very, very big deal there. So this is huge in terms of the running game. This is huge in terms of pass protection. So just for me here, Darian Dalcourt would be the guy I would have my money on and being the starting center here for the Crimson Tide. But that's just the first team unit. I mean, Alabama has gone too deep here on the offensive line. If you talk about the second team unit for this team looks like this. You got Tommy Brown at left tackle, who would come off the bench to replace Alex Leatherwood. You got Pierce Quick at left guard, who would come off the bench to replace Deontay Brown. You would have Landon Dickerson kick inside and play center to replace a Darian Dalcourt if he has to come off the field. You got Emil Ekiyor Jr. at right guard. Once again, I mentioned he's diverse, he's versatile, he can play anywhere on the field. When you look at center and guard position. And then you have Amari Kite, who would replace Evan Neal at right tackle. So Alabama, a bunch of depth, a too deep offensive line. But just going back to who would be the guy I would have as the starting center: Chris Owens' experience, Emil Ekiyor, versatility, diversity. But if you want smooth, quick, seamless transition, good feet, good hands, everything in pocket, just naturally God-gifted center, give me Darian Dalcourt. And over the weekend, Alabama's first live action scrimmage, we're going to get a chance to get some information on this offensive line and who are the best 5 guys gelling well on this offensive line. But you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage here, ladies and gentlemen. Very simple and easy to access this. You can get this from the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you've got the Android phone. Now, for your audio listening needs, we have you covered here: iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. We have you covered. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I will be back on Monday continuing the conversation that is Tide football. As always, fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. Link will be found in the description. Also, fans, if you haven't done so, do this quick. You can still purchase that online subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine, $5.95 a month. You get the You get the latest coverage on Bama football, the annual print magazine, the exclusive, exceptional recruiting news from our own Justin Smith. You go to touchdownalabama.com, click join, be a part of our community, our family here, but it's only for a limited time. In 2 days, this offer goes off the board in 2 days. On Monday of next week, the offer goes off the board after Monday of next week. So go right now, touchdownalabama.com, click join. Get that online subscription, $5.95 a month. But until next time, folks, husbands love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands' children. I know school is back in. Get that work done. But continue also doing those things to legitimately not be bored. Get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself. Protect the loved ones around you. Till next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith, and this has been In My Own Words.